The Syrian civil war has developed rapidly in recent days. Assad's allies were distracted. Iran and Hezbollah have been fighting Israel. Russia has been fighting Ukraine. The rebels took advantage of Assad's isolation and overthrew him. After over 50 years at the top, the Assad regime has been overthrown. This is an enormously significant development. This event will have major consequences for the region. Its aftermath is yet to be seen. But what do I make of this? Assad was a murderous dictator. An evil man, he should be in prison. But I will not foolishly celebrate his defeat as some great victory. The Shah of Iran was a brutal dictator. The regime that emerged following his defeat was far worse. Saddam Hussein was a brutal dictator. His overthrow resulted in massive chaos and hideous extremism. Gaddafi was a brutal dictator. His removal from power produced nothing but lawlessness, disorder, and civil conflict. We have seen this story 100 times before. A power vacuum, chaos and instability, Islamic extremism and brutal repression. Anyone who is not expecting these things is naive and ignorant. Assad was a murderous dictator. He brutalized his own people. But do not celebrate his defeat too soon. Things could get far worse. By Middle Eastern standards, Assad was a secular leader. The same will probably not be true of his successor. The position of women and religious minorities in Syria could easily get far worse. My prediction is that things will get even worse. Perhaps I am wrong. I hope I am wrong. But I fear that Syria will be in a dark place for a long time to come. I think that is the most likely outcome. Things can always get worse. Sometimes we forget that simple truth. The overthrow of an evil man does not always entail something better. So don't be optimistic. I expect that at best an Islamist regime will be formed, similar to Iran at best or the Taliban at worst. At worst, there will be chaos like there has been in Libya. An Islamist regime is bad, but at least it provides order and stability. The worst outcome is renewed civil war, lawlessness, and chaos. Given the diverse factions involved, this is very possible. An Islamist regime or total chaos. The two most likely outcomes. Both of which are even worse than having a brutal secular dictator. Middle Eastern politics is a very bleak subject. If ever you feel dreary about politics in the West, remember what the Middle East is dealing with. Things can get a lot worse. A positive outcome is possible, but very unlikely. When a relatively secular dictator is overthrown, things usually get worse. The Shah of Iran and Saddam Hussein demonstrate that. Regardless, we must pay close attention to the situation in Syria. Syria is a significant state in a very important geopolitical region. A lot is on the line.